Hello, Palm Sunday. The scene is surely made for film music. You know that scene where there's great noisy partying and laughter going on, and suddenly in the background the violins are starting up, doing their stuff, and maybe there's some dark drumming, and you realise things are not quite as they seem, and there are dark clouds on the horizon. Holy Week 2020 is going to be very different to any Holy Week you or I have ever experienced. And across the diocese, people will experience Holy Week in very different ways. There's a wonderful energy in many of our neighbourhoods, an upsurge of community spirit. And in many places, no major outbreak yet. Here, it is still Palm Sunday. For others, the fears and darknesses of Maundy Thursday and Good Friday are already acute. In school staff, who are ignoring their Easter holidays and putting themselves at risk looking after children. Think of NHS staff in our hospitals already treating a number of COVID-19 patients, putting themselves at risk. Or think of those worried sick about loved ones who are ill, especially at this time, whatever their ailment. On Palm Sunday, Jesus comes riding into our lives, not as a knight in shining armour, but, as Matthew's Gospel tells us, humbly, mounted on a donkey. And we learn elsewhere in Matthew's Gospel how often Jesus is not recognised. For us today, this could be in the neighbour fetching a prescription, in the cleaner disinfecting the crematorium, in the business person desperately trying to save jobs and livelihoods, in the person on the helpline listening to anxieties, or in the retrained medic desperately trying to save lives. In organising the donkey, the Gospel says that the disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. It must have seemed a bit daft to them to get a donkey. Holy Week and Easter will happen again this year. It's not for us to make it happen. And I say this especially to those of you who are clergy and lay ministers. And of course, I hugely appreciate all you're doing, your great care and creativity and effort. It's amazing, and I'm grateful. Thank you. And yet, the most important things are the simple ones. The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. Acts of humility. It's not about us. Acts of service in our community. The same expression, the disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them, occurs a bit later when they prepare for the Lord's Supper. We can't share the Lord's Supper in this season, but we can make space and time to prepare for worship in our homes and discover that each of our homes are upper rooms indeed. Look, your King is coming to you. That's the promise of Palm Sunday. Or in the words of Graham Kendrick, this is our God, the servant King. He calls us now to follow him, to bring our lives as an offering of worship to the servant King. God bless to you this Holy Week.